Welcome to the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. This episode is brought to you by Authors Unite. Authors Unite provides you with all the resources you need to become a successful author. You can learn more about Authors Unite and join the free community at authorsunite.com. Now, let's jump into the episode. All right, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Business Blast podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Wagner. Today, I have Alexandra with us. She is the COO for Rock Thomas International. So welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for joining us. We'll dive in. The first question I have for you, Alexandra, is what is the best story from your life that has an underlying valuable message?
Oh, I love this question. I mean, there could be so many, but just kind of like a best story is I've started over and over again multiple times, moving out of my home country, living in Canada, being married, getting a divorce, moving out of Canada, living in Malaysia. So it always felt like it was a new beginning and I had to start everything all over again. So the most valuable and underlying message that I've got over the last 12 years was that starting over is actually a way of being able to create what you want, getting closer to that vision of the life and lifestyle that you want. So it's never too late to actually start over. There's no limit in what we could do. So we can actually do anything we want because the only person that stops us is us.
I agree so much. Thank you for sharing that. And the next question I have for you is, what is the most valuable piece of information we should know that's within your expertise or industry?
Awesome. Well, right now I work in the online marketing world into the personal development. But I've done a lot. I've worked in travel industry. I've worked in sales. I've worked in a lot of spaces. Personal development is the closest to me right now. And when I were to think of like what is the most valuable piece or expertise in my industry, is that in personal development, you get to grow yourself towards the vision that you want for the person that you want to be. And for me, what worked really well is becoming irreplaceable in a space that you get to deliver the best, the most valuable content and find solutions to anything that's thrown at you.
And what is your best piece of overall business advice? So not necessarily industry specific.
That's awesome. I love your questions. So the best piece of advice business-wise, I would say never ever get discouraged. And in like anything that you want to do, you want to start your own business, you want to work for someone, you want to move your way up to the ranks, don't actually get discouraged on what's thrown at you and what challenges may come along the way. If you can be first in an industry or in your business, that's awesome to be the one that trailblazes through everything. But if you cannot be the first, aim to be the best. There's so many things out there in the world and you could do, again, anything you want. And if you put your vision and your dedication towards what you can actually create, you could actually move through absolutely any challenge that you may encounter along the way.
And if you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that be?
Oh my goodness, so many. But the best, I think, the biggest one, probably that I'm even moving into a deeper level now currently, I think where you could never learn and grow. The best advice I would give my younger self would be don't sweat the small stuff. There would be so many times that I observe myself or others around me being so worried and stressed out or getting affected by things that at the end of the day don't actually change what happens with you. Because like I mentioned at the beginning, you're the only one who has an impact on your life and how you do things. So be authentic and don't let the exterior impact your own state, because the more you're in your power, the more you get to actually create and move towards that remarkable life you want.
And in your opinion, what is the key to happiness?
Well, don't we all want to know that? For myself, what I've discovered, I've been doing personal development for a lot of years now. I probably could go back 10 years or so. But being true to yourself, that is the most important piece. And that's the space where I am most happy, because I get to connect with what I desire, with what I want, with what actually I enjoy, recognizing the boundaries that I have, recognizing the things that actually make me happy without molding myself to please other people. So being true to yourself, to me, is how you become more happy, or you experience more joy and happiness in your life. And sometimes I even think of the word happy, it's a little bit restrictive. I always think of joy, because joy comes from the inside, and it always puts a smile on my face, even looking up at the sunrise.
And what is the best book that you've read, and what was the number one thing you learned from that?
Ooh, I read so many books. That's an awesome question. I would have to say the best book I've ever read was The Awaken the Giant Within by Tony Robbins. That book literally changed everything, and it was the book that started me on personal development and personal growth. I read that book right after my divorce in my 20s. I divorced when I was 25. So the best advice, or the number one thing I've learned from the book, was the identity that we have, or the identity that we give to ourselves. No one can change it or shift it if we don't. We allow too many exterior things to affect who we are, or to label us something, and then we forget, again, our inner truth. So from that book, I learned how to redefine myself, how to recognize that if today I want to identify myself as a dancer, I can. If tomorrow I identify myself as a singer, I can. I'm just using certain examples. But you get to make the choice of who you are and how you are.
And what is your favorite quote, and why?
I remember I watched the movie Gone with the Wind, and I'll never forget, tomorrow is another day. I love that quote. I mean, I live with quotes around me, and I'm always using affirmations to be able to put myself in certain states. So the idea of tomorrow is another day, it's always about the fact that you can always start something else new. And when the day is gone, you can create anything else you want in the next day. So you're never stopped or blocked by anything. And I always like the words that follow I am, follow you. That quote is from Rock Thomas, the founder of Rock Thomas International. And it's, again, tied with identity. It's like you choose who you are and what words you label yourself with.
Thank you so much for coming on. This was such a valuable episode. The last question I have for you before we let you go is, where is the best place for people to find you online?
Okay, well, you can find me on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on any social media and platform available out there. You can search me with my name, Alexandra Mew, or you can search me with alexin.wonderland. My site is not up right now. It's being redone, but when it's up, it's just going to be alexandramew.com. That would be the page that you can find me at.
Perfect. Thank you again for coming on. We really appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me again.
The podcast you just heard was recorded with Anchor. If you want to make your own, download the Android or iOS app completely free from anchor.fm/podcast. That's anchor.fm/podcast.